Okay, so, yeah, that happened. I do apologize, everybody. I totally forgot that my mic was muted, and we went 3 minutes in this review. I'm gonna start over. Hello, welcome to another review of Tabletop Junkie, or another tabletop review brought to you by Tabletop Junkie. And today we are reviewing the Castles and Crusades Codex Nordica by Trollord Games. Now, we are going to cover this book the best that we can. I'm not going to share every little bit of details because what's the point of buying the book if all you have to do is refer to my video? So I'm going to put in the disclaimer, please go to about 3 minutes in when I started talking because I was muted. I was so excited to actually get into this that I forgot to unmute myself. So here we go. So in this book, this covers the Nordic cultures that are explored from a gaming perspective. The peoples um, of this culture, of this, the peoples that comprise the Nordic groups are the Swedish, the Danes, the Norse, and some people, and some of the other peoples of Scandinavia. From their mythical and historical perspectives, the Castle Keeper and players can delve into new concepts and ideas that expand their campaigns in a new direction. And my girlfriend's here, troublemaker, or Mama Wolf, whatever she goes by. So anyway, she goes by both names. So anyway, basically going from there, the northern Germanic people, which were classified as Vikings, entered into a history of the 8th century, not long after the migration area tribes swept through Eastern and Central Europe. Of course, they gained a very much vile and bad reputation as that they basically did raids and they killed a lot of people and there was a lot of wars. This book also expands on new character classes and races for you to actually incorporate into your world. Now, in my game of Paramore, as I was explaining before, I discovered I was completely freaking muted. I have actually basically said that Thor did come down into Paramore and was actually good friends with Morg. As both of them, Morg actually does wield hammers. But he did actually create a following. There was a dwarven following on Paramore, which is now so-called, so far, might be extinct, which we will cover later on. We haven't even got to that part of the history yet, because that is something that players will have to explore. Alright, this also covers the 9 worlds from mythology of the Vikings, and and this stuff will be explored and playable for the first time. So, yeah, and Trollord Games' whole idea with these codexes is to add mythology, help you add mythology and religion to your games. And for this one, particularly, would be the Norse culture. So, without further, the first chapter is about the history and cosmography of the religion of the Norse, such as the heavens of the Norse gods, such as Odin, but there was also a time before the gods that they do talk about, such as the nothingness of the Mistworld and the giants of giants. And then the sons of Bor and Yarmir's fate, which is Odin, Vili, and Ve, which actually took on the giants and started the creation of mankind. Also the making of day and night, and so on and so forth. So this does delve into the first chapter actually dwells into the history of the formation of the stories of the religion, and of course, what the heavens were like. And then it gets into the 9 worlds. So we're not going to go into all the 9 worlds, but it basically, if you know anything about the religion, it does talk about the great life tree and how the 9 realms fit into it. And then we actually go into, so that is basically the first 2 chapters, and in chapter 3 we begin talking about magical beings and monsters, such as dragons, elfars, bugs, and bison, also as draggers. There's a lot actually in here. And these are not just monsters and stuff like that, these are also playable races. We'll actually go through a few right now. I'm actually going to turn to that page. This begins in chapter 3, which I actually might add a few for myself in here. So the Elfar, which is okay, so the Elfar are essentially the basic elf found in the nine worlds. They are ambiguous in their behavior and treatment of others and related to the more sinister Alps, but also uninvolved in the epic struggle between light and darkness. Elves can be from the smallest in size of human-like and have a wide range of traits and personalities similar to the continental German kobolds. So that's an idea. And I believe we actually have the Castle Keeper can use the fairy ability in the Codex Keltarum to give the elf special abilities beyond the initial ones given if they choose. Okay, so there's a couple options because this does actually work and coincide with another codex. Of course, they all do that. Let's see. Let's look for one that has player character options. Because some of them are given that. Oh, right here. Okay, so a bison. Small being. So the bison are a race of forest gnomes that are well known for being woodcutters. They are often dressed in drabs, gray or red clothes with a woven cap and beard. That sounds like a garden gnome. Sounds terrible, actually. But the player character info is they get a +1 to charisma, -3 to strength, and they can typically class with any class. Awesome. Let's do one more. Okay, so we got some dragons here. What else do we have? Of course, we already know about dragons. This actually gives dragons a little bit more of a background with how it fits here. Okay. A Dwarvigar. Okay, Dwarvigar or Dwarg to the Saxons are a magical folk first brought into life by the sons of Bor from the body of Ymir. These are not the short, stocky dwarves of normal fantasy, but magical beings that are nearly human-sized in height. They live underground and, like the Dark Elves, forge and craft items of magnificence, but do so for the gods and heroes. They're basically dwarves, but different. And they get a +2 to strength, -1 to dexterity, +1 to charisma. And their general typical classes are fighter, rogue, barbarian, giant slayer, dragon hunter, and wizard. So there's some ideas for you. And we do get classes, which I think that starts off in Chapter 4. So Chapter 4, we talk about the wizardry and enchantments. At this point, we're about halfway through the book. So we'll start talking about some of the things here. So one of the things that they do have is the cedar, which they got the cedar, which they talk about magic was in the universe when only the two worlds of Muspelheimer and Niflheimer exist in the yawning void. Okay, so basically this talks about how magic came into being within the nine realms. Well, we don't really want to talk about that too much. Let's talk about the I believe it's called the Cytocona. The woman master of the cider is called the Cytocona, or Visindacona, or Valior. I'm sorry, my pronunciations are terrible. So this is basically the sorceress, and this is actually one of the classes that they're actually given. And it's actually they're kind of built like wizards, and honestly, they're not much different. And honestly, I wouldn't mind incorporating one of these classes in my own world themselves. I'd probably just call them the sorceress, though. Or I would just say sorcerer and make it to where both men and women could play this class, because this is mostly fitted for female characters only. Unfortunately, but that's because these are kind of like female priestesses. And of course, so one more character class that we actually get to go delve in here before I start backtracking. There is one more that I do want to actually touch base on, but I can't seem to find it. Oh, here we are. The prophetess. So basically prophets. These basically are the seers and people who have visions to make prophecies. So, yeah, that's another class. They're basically charisma-based. And once again, I think they're also female-oriented classes. But I'm pretty sure you can also make changes to that. Just keep all the original stuff. Just make it to where, if you play as a man or a woman, it doesn't really matter. All that stuff is left up to the GM anyway. So one of the things is during this time, runes was a big thing. So there is the runes of Odin, which they do actually talk about. I'm actually going to show some pictures of because I think that would be the best thing to show off. Because I mean, I could show off some other pictures too, but I think showing off stuff that runes was a thing in Norse religion. It was actually a big thing for the Nord people. So I wouldn't say they're the ones that started it, but they had it. So that's all there is to it. All right, here we go. So these are what some of the stuff looks like. So we got Fae, which is wealth and cattle. This rune forms the symbols of mobile wealth and the vital life that exists in the architectural community. This rune corresponds with the letter F, Ale rune. And then Yor, which is Auroch. This is a large ox found in Germania and in many of the 9 worlds that symbolizes strength and manliness. This is the letter U and Ale rune. So a lot of good things to go from, and this does actually tie in, as well as they do have magical effects, so they do tie in with the rune mark class. So kind of can't have this without the rune mark class. Rune marks are like such a thing. I actually like rune mark, and I've got another friend who actually likes rune mark as well. All right, let's back up here for just a brief moment. All right, so and then about chapter 5, they go into the personal history and descriptions and some of the stories of the gods, such as Odin, Thor, Baldur, Bragi, Loki, and then they do talk about some of the other gods, such as Frigg, Freya, Fulla, Sif, Vor. And then they talk about the giants, monsters, and evil beings of the Nordic religion, such as well as sacred places, funeral practices, and their version of the end of the world. Then they talk about, and then in chapter 6, they go into warriors and battlecraft, how the Nords fought. And they actually do add in some actual classes, such as there is a berserker class, and there is a giant killer class. I believe there's also a giant slayer somewhere around here. I don't know if it's in this book or another book tie-in. I actually do like the giant killer class because in my Paramore campaign, Thor is known as God of Thunder, and of course also as the God of Thunder and the Giant Killer. Let me actually back that up. I think I got him as the God of Storms and Giant Killer, but yeah. You guys get what I'm saying. And then chapter 7, all they have is stuff for the Castle Keeper, stuff on the Nordic Society, the Assembly of Lawgivers, ships, and then counters that you can have at sea, and examples and stuff that we can use from these books to basically put up our players up against. And then the precious works of the Nordic religion, all the way to the very end. This book is very much fulfilled with tons of information and stuff that we can't go through without giving away too much. And you guys know I don't really like spoilers. I do have some artwork I would like to show off here. I think the artwork does fit the mood. Although that wouldn't really, for that, I believe that would be best fitted for this one here particularly. It's probably best fitted for I would say the Irish one, the Irish religion, because that's tied to a tree, not a rock. So yeah. I was gonna say, let's see. I know I cannot even say his name, but he's basically an Irish deity. And there's a song about it too. So here's some fast artwork there. Oh, and here's the best part, the life tree that we talked about, where it talks about the many parts of it, such as Jotunheim, Hel, Niflheim, Svartalheim, Midgard, Elfheim, Asgard, Vanaheim, and Muspelheim. And basically where they fit in on the tree. I think that is actually the best part. Alright, well, so I think it's time to basically go through and rate this book. Alright, so as far as information and artwork is concerned, definitely gives a thumbs up on that. Useful information, we did cover that. That would probably cover up with the last one, but I'm going to give it 2 thumbs up because everything in there is useful. Adding classes. Classes do not seem to be anywhere near overpowered. There doesn't seem to be an imbalance of that. And, you know, converting, easy converting to any setting is also 2 more thumbs up on top of that. So far we're 4-0-0. There really isn't much of anything on that. I guess I would like some more information. Now, seeing the back of the book, some of the information may be a little scarce on the deities, such as like what kind of weapons they wielded, or we all know Thor wielded Mjolnir, and Odin had a spear and stuff like that. I guess I would like a bit more like character write-up on, or not really character write-up, just a bit more format write-up. Of course, you got to format that yourself, but I'm not going to really bash anyone for that, so I'd give it about a neutral, you know, a neutral one, but, you know, still a thumbs up. I do highly recommend buying this book. It is definitely worth every penny to get both the digital and the physical copy, and I do recommend that. So, overall, I give it a nice 9 out of 10. And that's both being the fanboy in me with Troll Lord Games, because everyone knows I'm a Troll Lord Games fanboy, and that is me being unfair. 9 out of 10. It's like I said, I flipped through that book several times, and it's still a real good page turner. So it's definitely highly recommend. Let me see if I can pull up some prices here for you guys before we get going. Okay, so you guys could get like 6 codexes for like 134. I believe that's just for print only. Let me put up print and digital. Okay, so to get the print and digital, which means you get a PDF copy to download to your computer, that where if you don't want to have to carry books around, you can just put that on a flash drive, and you can get the both the print and digital for $134.99, which is basically you're just paying for the print books at that point. Print by itself is $134.99 as well, and then digital is $119.94. Now these are 6 books, which covers all the codexes, and starting with Nordica, and then, you know, the Celtorium, the Slavorium, the Germanium, and Egyptian, and then of course I always forget that one. The I already mentioned the Celtorium, which was the other one. Oh boy, the Classicum. I know how that sounds. But yeah, I say it would definitely be worth picking up. So, if you don't want to pick up the bundle, you can actually pick up the let's see. Oh boy, I gotta back up here. Codex Nordica by itself, if you don't want to pick up the bundle, which I do highly recommend. So the print, let's see, so the print by itself is $27.99 for the Nordica alone. The digital is $9.99 for the Nordica alone, and the print and digital is $34.99. So, well worth your money. That's like $7 more, and you get a print and digital copy. Or you can just spend the $134 and get them all. You know, all 6 of them, and they are coming out with another codex, so I definitely do recommend this. They add kind of a lot of bit of content, and give you a lot of good inspirational ideas. So that's all I have to say at this time. I am going to link those right into my page, and I'm also going to link that disclaimer of, oh my god, I am sorry, I was freaking muted. So, alright, well everybody, that's everything I have this time. I want to say thank you so much for tuning in, if you did, and for my future viewers, check out my channel if you definitely want to check out some more reviews. I'm definitely coming out with more videos as we got along here. So this is Tabletop Junkie telling you guys to work hard, play hard, game on, everybody. Have a great and wonderful day.